Today I'm talking to Indie McFarlane, founder of INDY Sunglasses. Indy started this brand from her bedroom floor using her own paychecks to design fashion forward, affordable sunglasses that feel high end without the high end markup. Since she started, she's built a globally recognized. We start over. Um, since she started, she's built a globally recognized brand, landed in retailers like Anthropologie and Free People, and has been worn by some of the biggest names on the internet and in real life, like Bella Hadid and Alex Earle, all while staying rooted in sustainability and intentional design. What I love about Indy's story is how instinct driven it is. She built something people feel when they wear it, which is really hard to do. Today, we're going to get into how she turned her idea into a brand and how she did massive collaborations and what's next with some very cool launches. Let's get into it.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Jackie. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. So, I want to go back to when you first launched Indie. You said that you built it from your bedroom floor. What were those first months? Like, what did those first few months actually look like?
So it was very scrappy. I was on my laptop on my bedroom floor watching YouTube videos on how to start a business. I was researching kind of like what other eyewear brands were out there. And, I was looking at the basics that you needed to start a business. You need to find a factory, you need to kind of, find your niche. And yeah, it was scrappy. I was working in bars, coming home after my shifts and, really, really wanting to push this forwards, but just kind of going in blindly and just honestly learning everything from YouTube.
What were you doing before you started the brand, and what was like your spark, and what drove you to want to create a sunglass brand?
So I was actually living in London. So I moved from Scotland to London when I was 17 and I started studying photography. So I went to university for that. Loved photography, but I just wasn't as passionate about it as other people were. So and I know that that space is very competitive. So I started interning for fashion stylists, such as Rihanna's fashion stylist. It was all unpaid. I had a bar job as well in London. So I loved working in the fashion industry, but not so much the kind of energy that was surrounding it. So I kind of wanted to create my own space, my own kind of fashion business. And I was looking around my room at the time and I was like, what do I love most? And I was like, it's sunglasses. So from there, that's where it kind of clicked. So I finished my degree in London, moved back to Scotland for a year, was working 7 days a week in a bar, started building up the funds to start, very basically open up a Shopify account, find factories, start sampling, and yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's really impressive.
Thank you.
Do you feel like your fashion and photography background helped you get started? Was that a big part of what allowed you to get off the ground, or what helped you get off the ground?
I think so, yeah, because I kind of had an eye for fashion anyway, working in fashion photography and also working for these amazing stylists. I kind of knew what was on trend and what was maybe missing in the market as well. So I definitely, yeah, it definitely helped a lot, kind of like put my foot in the door and give me the experience that I needed to be kind of in the fashion industry. And also, it's great because I actually do all the photography myself now, so at least I'm using the degree to some extent. So yeah, I do the product shots, I do the campaigns, well, most of them, and yeah, it did pay off somehow.
Yeah, I bet that's a big part of running an e-commerce business is the photography itself. So that's amazing that you it's amazing to have an eye for it and have that skill.
Yeah,
I always say that one of the most important traits of being an entrepreneur is your willingness to take a risk.
yeah.
So, even before launching your brand, you moved from Scotland to London and then New York at such a young age. What was that like? And do you think that kind of speaks to your ability and your willingness to take risks?
Yeah, I think since I was young, I've always, been curious and I've never really been a scared person. I'm definitely a bit shy and anxious when meeting new people and things like that, but when it comes to making moves for myself, I'm never fearful, which I'm actually really grateful that that I'm like that, and I don't know where it came from. Maybe because I've been independent a while, like growing up and everything, so it could be something to do with that. But yeah, moving to New York, obviously it was daunting, but it was so exciting at the same time. I was lucky. I kind of went straight into a bar job as soon as I got here and met so many incredible people. And when you're working in a bar here in New York, you're earning the same amount per week as what you would earn back in Scotland, in a bar. So I was like, oh wow, like this is amazing. So I had more money to start putting into the business the second I got here. And I was busy, so I didn't have time to kind of miss home or I was young and I was in my 20s and having a good time in New York.
That's awesome. Well, at what point did it go from like, I'm going to try out this designing sunglasses to I have a real business?
Yeah, so as, the second I started Indie Sunglasses, I knew I really wanted to trade in Topshop because I loved Topshop. It was huge at the time, like back in Oxford Circus in London. It was like the shop everyone went to buy their weekend outfits and so on. So I had a friend who was friends with the buyer, so I got the contact email. I messaged them and they said no about 10 times. I had about 800 followers on Instagram. I had no idea what I was doing. I kept building the brand in the meantime and I wasn't taking no for an answer, and I had my sunglasses carried by a retailer in New York called the Frankie Shop, and Alicia Keys, her stylist went in, picked up a pair, put them on Alicia Keys, and then that was my in to Topshop. So I think when Alicia Keys wore them, I sent that to Topshop. They said yes, and then that's the moment I was like, okay, now I think we've got a real business here. So it was overwhelming, but so exciting.
Yeah, that is so cool. I can't even, what did it feel like to see Alicia Keys in your sunglasses?
Crazy. I was like, that is insane. Like growing up in Scotland, like America has such like an aura about it. Like you're what like wow, like the American dream and stuff, and coming out here and getting one of the most iconic Americans in your design, where you just started this fun sunglass business, was unbelievable. And then for Topshop to say, yeah, okay, then we'll give you a trial period and see how it goes. Like it all just kind of it was a domino effect after that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Your designs sit at this very interesting intersection of affordable but elevated. How intentional was that positioning for you from day one?
Yeah, so one of the main reasons I did start Indie Sunglasses was because when I was personally shopping for sunglasses, when I was younger, it was either the $10 sunglasses you would buy at the fast fashion stores or on the street that would break within 2 or 3 days, and they didn't have any eye protection. They were very flimsy, or you either had the high end designer sunglasses like Prada, Gucci, all of those, and they go for about $800. So I was like, why is there no mid luxury eyewear brands? So I wanted to slide right in the middle and create a kind of mid luxury eyewear brand, and it was really important for me from the start to stick to my word that we were going to use all the same materials that the high end sunglasses use, like biodegradable acetate, polarized lenses, 100% sun protection, but for an absolute fraction of the price. So it's definitely really important for me to kind of keep that going throughout the years of Indie Sunglasses.
Yeah. And you said Topshop was important too, but it was designing for retail in general. Like, was that always a big part of your plan?
So yeah, so I was selling my own designs in Topshop. So I was like a consignment. So I wasn't designing for them in particular. I definitely knew I wanted to work with retailers because I was self-funded. So, I wasn't going to get massive just on my own. I needed backup from these huge retailers. So I kind of reached out to them to kind of put me on a pedestal a little bit, to push me up there in the rankings rather than having to find money to do my own marketing and my own advertisement and stuff. So yeah, definitely having retailers was a part of the strategy, and it helps you get more brand awareness, I feel.
Yeah. Do you think about it as part of the customer journey as well? Because I feel like glasses and sunglasses are they're sort of something you have to try on. So was
Yeah.
that a thought when you were starting out?
Yeah, a little bit. I think like in the early days of Topshop, I definitely was watching the customer try them on, try a different pair on, and things like that. But I feel like now I'm okay with just being solely online. Like I am in some like physical retail stores. Like I'm in a few Anthropologies, but I don't have a proper one where people can come and try all the designs on. But I feel like nowadays that there's so much amazing technology online. Like we have a try on feature where you can literally put the sunglasses on your face when you're sitting on your sofa on your iPhone, which really helps. And also we have a really good return policy as well. So people definitely tend to maybe buy like 3 or 4 pairs and return the ones that don't suit their face. But of course, like it would be the dream to maybe have a store in the future, and so customers can come try them on.
Yeah, that's very cool. When someone puts on a pair of your sunglasses, what is it that you want them to feel like right away?
Definitely confident and expensive. Yeah. So just like kind of like, oh, I feel really good today. Like these make me feel confident, feel put together, and also like they feel really like luxurious.
What have you learned through the production process and through designing? What have you learned like actually makes a pair of sunglasses feel expensive beyond just the price tag?
Yeah, so it's definitely that. So I don't know if you've ever like felt a pair of like plastic sunglasses in comparison to acetate sunglasses. So acetate has a really like smooth kind of glossy finish, and it's also heavier in weight. So not too heavy where it's uncomfortable, but it's definitely more durable, whereas plastic is really lightweight. It feels like a little bit more rigid. So I feel like the feel that you get with the acetate material that we use is really really luxurious. You touch them and instantly you're like, oh, these feel really nice. So that's really important for me that we continue to use the most premium materials in the eyewear world.
How do you think about getting that across on the internet when people can't like feel that in person?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess like good product descriptions and really good product photography as well, where you can kind of like really see the texture and see the material of the sunglasses. Maybe there's like a shine coming from the studio lighting onto the temple of the sunglasses. But yeah, I guess like in your marketing, you need to maybe I kind of need to learn more on that, on making sure I'm touching on those points all the time when I'm talking about the product. But yeah, I think just like as in depth as possible using your product descriptions.
Yeah, I think your photography does a great job of it. I was just looking at your Giselle glasses,
Yeah.
and those they look so premium and expensive.
Ah, thank you so much. Yeah, people love that style. It's like the little eyeglasses and very on trend at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious what your hero product or bestseller is right now. I have your Ice Cube sunglasses in 2 colors, and they're like the only sunglasses I wear.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, the ice cube is iconic. That was one of my very first designs, and I've just kept it, going throughout the years, changing colors, adjusting things. It's the best shape. But definitely right now is the gazelle frame and the Joey frame. So I think I actually have. So those are the gazelles here, and we actually just made them in a sunglass version as well. So I think people really like the kind of slim, elegant, lightweight frame, and then the Joey's also a small square frame. So people are definitely gravitating towards more of the minimal sunglasses at the moment rather than the big, bulky, heavier ones. So I'm definitely learning from the customer and yeah, playing off the hero SKUs and making new colors in them and so on.
Yeah, I'm curious when you launch new products, because I know you have some cool stuff coming up that we'll talk about. Does that come, where do your ideas come from? Is it just your ideas, like trend forecasting, or does it really come from what the customers are asking for?
It's really just my ideas, I think. I think the main thing I always think about before I start designing is like what's really different, like what's actually going to stand out there. Of course, I have my everyday styles that you see, but then I like to play with eyewear a little bit and hope for like a viral moment, maybe something really wacky or like you're putting text on the frame, which I used to do a lot of, which really had a lot of traction, back when it was trending, so that was a really exciting thing. But yeah, mainly just from me sitting on the sofa all like for a good 8 hours being like, what can I do that's going to be different? So I might be like looking at a handbag that has loads of charms on it. I'm like, that's cool. Like, how can I maybe do that with sunglasses? So things like that.
You get a lot of creative inspiration from being in Brooklyn.
I think so. Yeah, in New York in general, I feel like everyone here is just dressed so well. You know, it's very, very inspiring to kind of walk around and see what everyone is wearing and, you know, what kind of sunglasses people are kind of gravitating towards at the moment. So, yeah, it's definitely like the fashion capital, I would say, of the world. So, I'm very lucky to be here and be inspired by so many amazing people every day.
I want to talk a little bit more about some of your big celebrity moments. You mentioned Alicia Keys, which is incredible, but your brand has been worn by some of the biggest influencers who are both influencers in real life and online, which is kind of rare. So you've been on Bella Hadid and Alex Earl. I remember seeing Alex wear your sunglasses in like a beach photo shoot, and it was like right when she was like really blowing up. And I just thought, wow, that's so cool. Um, how did those moments actually happen? Were they like organic, seeded? And what has it done for your brand?
Yeah, so Alex Earl, that was incredible. So my friend, I will admit, when she was just blowing up, I didn't actually really know who she was. And it was my good friend Romany who said to me, Indy, like, you need to get your sunglasses on this girl. She's like going to be really big. And I was like, oh yeah, I was like, I'll try, you know, whatever. And I'm not joking, like 10 minutes after she said that, I get an email from Alex's stylist saying, hey, we came across your Instagram, we're styling Alex Earl this weekend for a shoot. We would love to pull some pieces. And I was like, no way, that's we were literally just talking about you. So sent her the pieces. So it was seeded. It was, I mean, it was organic. We sent to the stylist. She put them on, which was great. And then she wore them again recently at the Miami Ultra Music Festival, I think last year. And I actually had sent them to Sally, her best friend, because, you know, Sally was loving them, wearing them. And I guess maybe they shared on the night, which was really cool. And Bella Hadid, yeah, so my friend, he's a stylist. He said that he would, you know, help me get some product to her. So that was again organic and just shipped and kind of hope for the best situation. But yeah, and it worked out well. And I think it was about 4 or 5 months later, she actually wore them, which was incredible.
Wow. Did that really move the needle for your brand, either Alex or Bella Hadid?
Yeah, I think so. I think in the long run it does because, you know, it gives you instant credibility. As soon as you have their faces on your website, you pin it to the top of your Instagram page, you know, it kind of makes you more legit as a brand. And when I'm reaching out to other influencers or retailers, I always include that in the body of my email, you know, just to get that instant credibility that I am established and I'm not just a chancer, you know, pretending that I'm someone that I'm not, sort of thing. So no, I definitely think it helped in the long run, and the sunglasses that they wore sold out. So yeah, it definitely brought traction.
Very cool. I mean, that's the kind of thing people dream about for their brands.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
lucky.
you've also done a lot of different collaborations, and I'm, as a fellow business owner, I'm always curious about the logistics when people do collabs. So how do you structure your collaborations and like what makes it what makes it to you successful?
Yeah, so we could use Hawaiian Tropic as an example. So they were such an amazing team to work with. I actually pitched the idea to them. I made a deck and you know, I basically explained the importance of how sunglasses and sunscreen go hand in hand, and it would be really cool for them to work with a small business like me to kind of produce their own sunglasses in their own colors. So it was a really detailed deck of why and you know who's going to wear it, etc. I didn't hear back for a few days, and then they said yes, which was incredible. And then basically how it's structured is, you know, you have a call with them maybe once a week, you know, sign off designs, you know, approvals, things like that. And then, you know, you can split the inventory. So like they would take 50% of the inventory, sell it on their website or gift it, you know, in their marketing gift bags. Or and then we also take 50% of the inventory and then we sell it on our website. So it's very collaborative and it's you know they are designed in collaboration with you know the other partner, And it's really fun. I really like doing those partnerships because you're also working with really amazing people that are high up in these big brands. Like I learned so much from their head of marketing, their head of socials, and it's just a really fun educational experience. And especially when you'll know as well, like when you're a founder, it can get a little bit like isolating if you don't have people to rub ideas off of every day. So I really like you. They're kind of like your employees for those 6 months that you're working together, which is nice.
Yeah, that is really nice. That's a really cool learning opportunity. Actually, you have an upcoming collab that I think is very, very cool. You're doing a sunglass collab with an Olympic runner. How did that one come together?
Yes, so I've recently really been wanting to get into running sunglasses because I've noticed in the market at the moment, the running sunglasses that we're seeing are very bulky. They're almost designed for men. You know, there's no sunglasses that are for smaller face shapes for runners. So I brought out my first design with a gym in Brooklyn called Session, and it really kicked off. I've been restocking it for the last 2 years. Like they keep selling out, so it kind of showed that there is a gap in the market, and to expand on that category. So I thought, why not, work with someone? It kind of goes back to what I was saying about Hawaiian Tropic. Why not work with a professional Olympian runner who actually feels the problems, when she's on the track, if the sunglasses are slipping, if they feel too big. So I can really learn from her about what makes a really good running sunglass. So yeah, we are working together. We've been working for the last couple of months, really nailing down the design. It's now in production and they're going to come out this July and it's going to be incredible. And she's really, really cool. And she's going to be wearing them at this event called the Diamond League in London, which is loads of photographers and videographers there. So yeah, very excited for that.
That's really cool. I have a lot of runner friends, so I'll tell them about it.
Yes, please do.
And then you also said you have some magnetic charms coming up this summer, which I love. I love charms. What was the idea behind that?
Yeah, so again, I think it was really trying to make a product stand out within the eyewear industry because obviously it's very saturated. You got to always be thinking about doing something different. I haven't even the sunglasses are still in production. So it's just that case. I guess it's a huge risk because I have invested a lot of my own money into this design. But I guess it's looking at handbags, seeing how people are loving customizing their keychains, things like that. It kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. That people do love a kind of personalized moment, and I was like, well, why don't we apply that to sunglasses? So that's kind of what I've been working on for the last year. So hopefully they'll come out this summer as well. And yeah, really excited for those. They're going to be cool, I think.
That is cool. We launched a couple hoop charms like to go on hoops. We launched those in the spring and they've done very well. I think people are in the market for something that personalizes things, but also something that can like switch up, an item that they maybe already own.
Yeah,
It's a great
exactly. Yeah, and it's great for gifts as well. If you want to gift your sister, brother, whatever.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on this, but you're a solo founder and you've described your brand as kind of a one-woman show. How has it been like navigating building and these big collabs and everything without a massive team or massive like funding behind you?
Yeah, it's overwhelming, very, very overwhelming. And there is a lot of pressure, I feel, and especially like if you're trying to also have a social life, it's very difficult, as you can imagine. But no, I think, as I was saying to you earlier, I went to the Emma Greed talk yesterday and she said something really interesting. She said that she never complains about the pressure that she feels because we asked for that. We asked for these opportunities. So we just have to kind of suck it up and get on with it, basically. So yeah, it is overwhelming, but at the same time, I'm grateful that I am overwhelmed. I'd be more concerned that I was sitting with no opportunities and I was bored and kind of lost. But yeah, I like being under pressure, but obviously there's some days where I would love to just maybe take off and go on holiday for a long weekend.
I was going to say that I think it's almost more stressful when you don't have anything to do.
Exactly, it's concerning. You're like, is nothing happening? Like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah. What is your vision for the brand? Are you looking to grow a team, or do you kind of like running things as they are now?
Yeah, I definitely want to grow a team. I think I'm kind of waiting for the moment where I have, the exact roles that need to be filled and where I need to sit down properly and be like, what do I need to delegate and what should I not be doing anymore? Or, what am I not so good at that someone else is going to be better at? That for me right now is probably social media. I would say I'm okay at it, but it could be 10 times better. So I think my next first hire would be someone that's really, really experienced and has worked maybe on a brand that I personally love and kind of pulling them over to Indie Sunglasses. So yeah, that's definitely the goal of mine in the near future is to grow the social media team for sure.
Yeah. I think it's hard when you have a because you have such a good vision and such a strong like creative presence. It can be hard to find the right person for a creative position like that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, when you have like your set vision, it's hard to find someone that kind of thinks the same way and kind of sees it. And it's also hard to explain that to that person as well. And it's not fair on them if they're not understanding it. So yeah, it's one of those things that you really just got to look into and see who is best to kind of match your kind of creative mind
Yeah,
basically.
definitely. Where do you see indie 5 years from now?
So I would love to see indie sunglasses more global. I definitely want to be more over in Australia because obviously sunshine all year round. And, I just feel like I'm not sure if there's that many mid-luxury eyewear brands over there. But yeah, I would love to just expand more and just really be known for that, mid-luxury affordable eyewear brand that doesn't rip you off, has all the materials that you need in sunglasses, has all the protection, and is still very chic designs at the same time. And yeah, I just want to keep growing. Like hopefully, get on Revolve, some other ones, and just keep building. Honestly,
That and I would love to see you on Revolve.
I,
I think you'd be perfect. So hopefully someone hears this.
I know exactly. I've been trying, but we'll keep going, keep
Yeah,
trying.
keep trying. Okay, so I want to do some founder rapid fire, so you can answer with like one word or just like something quick. What is one metric that you care about more than revenue?
Oh, repeat customers.
Who is your dream collab partner that you haven't already done yet?
I mean, I guess this wouldn't be a partnership, but my dream is definitely to get my sunglasses on Sabrina Carpenter. I will not stop until I get it.
That would be amazing.
I know.
She would be really cool.
I know.
How do most customers find you now?
I think definitely word of mouth and Instagram.
Okay. What is your biggest priority for 2026?
I think keeping up the momentum, making sure bestsellers don't sell out, keeping up the inventory levels, and just really staying consistent across socials. And yeah, just keep building. Keep the momentum building, and make sure there's no stagnant kind of phase.
Yeah. And what is one word or phrase that you want to be synonymous with your brand?
I think effortlessly confident.
Like that.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Well, it was so fun to catch up with you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with everyone. Where can everyone find you and where can everyone find your brand?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So everyone can find me at indysunglasses.com and you can find my personal account, INDY McFarlane. And yeah, hopefully I can help you choose your perfect pair of sunglasses.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.